Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Timothy Hill, and I am the producer of the Heart to Heart Relationship Talk Show. I don't have nobody joining me today. I have one of my co-producers. She's out sick. Shout out to Trina. My other co-producer, Black Legacy. But we do have one of our panelists for the December 14th show, Bobby J Coleman. Bobby, what's good with you, man?
What's good, Tim? How you feeling, brother?
Feeling good, man. So, well, you're a returner on the show as a panelist. But we know that you got some new things in the works. So could you let the viewers know who you are, what you do, and where they can find you?
Yeah, well, my name is Bobby J Coleman out of Kansas City, Missouri. I'm a comedian, actor, new film director, so be on the lookout for that. Stand-up comedy's at a pause right now due to the filming, but look out for the newest film called Vengeful. I wrote it. It's a real deep film, and if you want, we can talk about that too. But real deep film. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm off Twitter. I got kicked off of there because I was going too hard trying to save people relationships and stuff. But everything is Bobby J Online. That's where you can find me. Make it real easy for you.
Okay, awesome. So doing a little bit more research on you from before the last show that we did, I saw that you kind of got into comedy by roasting people at college. And then,
yeah, man.
Can you share a little bit about that experience? And I guess what was it, or what moment was it that kind of, I guess in that, in that time period, kind of led you believe like, I could really do this?
I've been roasted since 7th grade, middle school. That's when, if anybody's old enough to remember the Snaps, they used to be a show and stuff like that. Then they had a little book that came out, and it was all the Yo Mama jokes and all this stuff. And back then, roasting was a thing. Like, it was really, really big. It ain't like today. Everybody all sensitive and pussyfied and all that stuff. It's like it went down. So I remember, every time the teacher would step out, the class started roasting. And I knew I was good at it because I, did it in the neighborhood. But at school, it's like a different platform. And there was this dude. He was the coldest roaster, man. And he came around the room and he got to me. And I'd already wrote about 4 or 5 down, just waiting on this moment, bro. When he came, I just unloaded, unload the clip on him. So, man, what happened is it became a thing. It wasn't just something that was passive. It became a thing that, like, come up to me and they would start roasting to get me to roast. And I'm just on the spot, point out their shoes, this, that. I point out something. It wasn't like a bunch of Yo Mama jokes. It'd be something about their shoes that they clothes that. So it never stopped. So then in college, when you're in college, you got people from different cities, from everywhere. So I had a bunch of people that knew about me, and we had this bridge at our college that went across this lake, this little pond, and we used to meet there every day after like about noon, 1 o'clock. It was a roast time, and everybody, yeah, my boy from St. Louis, my boy from Chicago, he can roast. And I'm like, all right, bring them on. We meet up there. Boom, let's go. And I'm taking them out one by one, bro. So that was my thing, man. And then from there, that's what got me into stand-up, because it was a comedy competition on our campus, and somebody signed my name on the thing, and it was like 3 names on there. And the other 2 dudes were actually really funny because I had roasted against them before. So I'm like, oh man, I took the challenge, went up there, won about $250. Rest was history, man.
Okay. Now with your professional career being a comic, have you ever wrote jokes for other comics?
Oh yeah. So first was Ricky Smiley. So if you ever watched the Casket Sharp special he did for BET, we actually toured. I think I did about 18 shows with him. And basically, it was some ideas. Hey, you could do this, punch up jokes and stuff like that. And actually, Sean Larkins, he's from Detroit. He was on the tour with us too, comedian Sean Larkins. So me and him, a couple other comics was on that. But, you know, I started there. And then I got in cool with some more and started, you know, going on the road with her. And I would present her with jokes too. I would watch her set. And then I'm like, okay, let me, you know, I see where she's going with this. Let me take it another direction or whatever. So I did more punching up jokes and enhancing your set. So if I watch a guy do a joke, he might cut it off in 30 seconds. And I'll be like, man, you should have said this, this, and this. And now your joke becomes longer and you can get more, you know, more out of it.
Right.
And then I've written for a lot of people, man, a lot of comics that a lot of them are unnamed, but, you know, I definitely was, you know, sought out to write jokes. And a lot of that came from me on Twitter because I was always tweeting jokes. I would have an idea, and this is the problem. This is before screenshot was a thing. And I would tweet out jokes, boom, boom, boom. And then I started getting calls from comedians. Yo, this dude just went on stage, did your whole timeline, bro. Hit me back. Like, I'm like, really? I didn't know people stole material like that. You know what I'm saying? So so I stopped doing so many jokes because I would think of something and I'm just thinking for the world, like it's on my Twitter, it belongs to me. But then the screenshot capability started to happen around the same time. And then they started cutting off my face. And then one of this comic, Touré from out of Philadelphia, he told me, bro, quit putting all them jokes up there. He's like, you're giving away comedy gold. And that's when the Ricky Smiley thing happened. Then some more reached out and so forth. So people knew me as a writer more.
Okay. Well, it sound like it came out to be a blessing in disguise with you know, people stealing your jokes and everything. So but
hey, they don't know, man. I'm the godfather.
Is people, or for example, for you writing other people's jokes, does that kind of look the same as people or rappers who write other people's raps? Like, do they kind of shun against that, or is it just pretty out in the open to where you're like, it ain't no big deal?
So no, but yes. And the reason that the yes is in there is because depending how much success you reach with people, they knowing you got ghostwriters. Let's say Kevin Hart, for example. Kevin has you know, Naeem Spank and, you know, Joey Wells. And they're, you know, you around your people. They're comedians. You're gonna do that because that's the culture around you. But when it comes down to a title, who's the funniest, who's the dopest, who's this, who's the GOAT, they look at it. Now it counts if you have ghostwriters or people who write for you because you're going somewhere. But if I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to just go check out D. Ray Davis at the Improv. I'll go down there, watch him, and in my head, I can't help it. And I'm like, dang, and I'm on my phone like, okay, he should say this. And then when I go back and talk to him, hey, bro, you killed it, man. Hey, you remember when you talking about the lady at the grocery store doing this? Hey, you should say this too. And then after that, say this. He's like, oh, man, that's good. Because even when I started, I had jokes where in my infancy, I didn't stretch my jokes. I just wanted that laugh. I didn't know you're supposed to. You can keep going. You can keep going and keep going. But I had a joke. Man, I remember this old dude came up to me, and he gave me a punch. He gave me like a little alley oop on a joke, and I was like, oh man, that's funny. And I can't remember what the joke was. I usually remember, but I was like, all right, cool. And he was like, you can have that one, you know. I'm like, everybody say that when I hate that, bro. Like, I never tell people I'm a comedian if they don't know me, because they always got a joke and they tell me I can have it. I'm like, bro, that joke is street joke. Street jokes is basically a joke everybody tell, but you tell it so long, you think you made it. So I'm not gonna tell it. But this dude gave me one. He was just a regular dude. And then I took it, added on to it, and then I kept going. And I was like, man, it's a banger, you know. But yeah, man, it is this being a comedian. It's taken me all over the world, man. It took me to Germany, Japan, and then these are like performing for the troops, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've done probably 60 cruises because I was performing on Carnival Cruise Line. And then just comedy clubs across the country, a lot of one-nighters that promoters will do. A lot of dope dealers would be like, hey man, I'm about to put this comedy show together, you know, and they have 3 of their homies on there, and hey, dope money work too, you know.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that coming up. I don't do them anymore because you know it's a little different because they always want to put their rapper cousins on the show and all that stuff. But it just, man, it just grew legs, man, and it's been a blessing, bro. And so now with me taking time off to do the film, I haven't done a show since December 17th of last year. And this is the first time that's happened. I was in Indianapolis, did the show, and I knew, I was like, okay, this is my last show until I figure out everything with the filming and directing and producing and stuff like that. So my boy hit me up literally a week later. Hey, I'm working on the script. I want you to do this role in the film. And I was like, all right, cool. Did it. And then I turned around. I said, hey, man, I got the money. I got the script. I really want to do this film. Everybody read it. It's a dope film, man. And we're day 10 right now. But you know, it's just, man, it's like everything that all the work that I put into comedy, I'm doing the same thing with film, and I'm seeing the results from it, you know. So
All right, that same effort. All right, so let's jump gears a little bit. You touched on the show that you did, or a movie you just did. Are you referring to the Shutdown? Let's can you tell viewers a little bit about that, and then also tell viewers about your project that you're working on?
Yeah. So the Shutdown is written by Chuck Brown. It brings you back to the very beginning of COVID-20 happening, and the effects that it had on families and relationships and things like that. It for me, doing the film and going back into that, it felt real, like, whoa, we went through this, like the uncertainties of 2020 with COVID, and then kids not going to school, people not going to work, stores shutting down, people buying up everything. It was like crazy. And we don't realize if we think really hard on it, like what we went through with that. So that's what the movie tackles, is every aspect of COVID happening and the shutdown occurring, and how it affected relationships, families, neighbors, just regular run-of-the-mill people. When things got crazy, we didn't, you know, the united part of our country went the opposite way, and everybody were divided. So you got the lady in the store, kind of racist and stuff like that. You got the neighbor who had to fire his guy because everything is shutting down and we can't pay you. But if you know how contractors are, when they get paid or when they work, it's not guaranteed, you know. So he lost his job and then he got to raise his kids by himself. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I like how Chuck captured that, man, because not many people got down to the nitty gritty when it came to COVID-19. I said COVID-20. It happened in 2020, but COVID-19, you know, and how that affected people at the ground level in their homes and things like that.
Yeah. And one part that really stood out for me was that breakup scene. How your character pretty much had to choose. Like you couldn't mess with her no more because she wasn't taking it serious. So you know, you pretty much cut that off. But you did a very good job, man. Like I say, in that portraying that character. Could you tell us a little bit about the movie that you're currently in production with?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you a little backstory real quick. The film is called Vengeful, and I wrote the film in 2016 because what I would notice is you'd see every 3 or 4 months watching the world news or national news or local news, where there was always a guy who got out of prison after 20, 30, 40 years after being found not guilty. It was always some trouble around it, but the number one thing was there were always Black men. You never hear about a white man getting out after 20, 30 years. It might be 20 Black men to one in terms of that. But if you look at the disproportionate numbers in prison, it flip-flops. You see what I'm saying? So just imagine how many Black men are in prison wrongfully accused or, executed or whatever. So I would see this, and I remember sitting there watching it on TV, and I watched this guy from here. He was going through the process of getting out because he did like 21 years or something, and then we just had another one that did like 42 or 43 as being exonerated, which I think is the longest ever in our country, when he's from here as well. So I remember saying, man, if that happened to me and I get out of prison, I'm killing everybody. I'm taking everybody out. So I remember just writing the idea down. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna turn this into a script. I think I was gonna make it into a skit or something. Then I said, I'm gonna turn this into a script. So I wrote the script. So the story follows, I'm the main character. His name is Raymond. He ends up in prison for 10 years. What happens is he's accused of robbery that he had nothing to do with. So what happens is the two officers that descend on the convenience store robbery, one of the officers happens to be the father of the kid. And he's a kid that, they have a weird relationship. He's into drugs. And so the dad sees that. He's like, I got to cover this up. On the way to the crime, he actually runs into me and gives my description after he finds out that it's his son. They go hide him in the car. The police he send out the description, they find me. My character ends up in prison. When he goes to prison, you find out that he has a child on the way. And then the child visits him in prison, stuff like this. But after about 5 or 6, she stops coming because her relationship with her dad is behind a glass. The man that her mom moved on with is there in person. So she relates to him more and is closer to him. So my relationship just disappears. So I get out 10 years later. My idea is to rekindle my relationship with my daughter, find me a job, figure out life. Well, when I get out, things don't work that way. So I'm a felon. I can't find work. My probation officer's barking down my back like, hey, you got to find work. I'm like, I can't. I'm a felon, having problems. Go visit my baby mama. Hey, I'm trying to see my daughter. She ain't having it. She's just kind of leaving it up to the daughter, which puts a wall between me and my daughter. And I go crazy. So when I go crazy, I decide to go and capture the judge, the district attorney, and the 2 officers that did this to me. And then you find out what happens throughout the rest of the film. But I must also add, if you ever notice with Black films, whether it's slave movies or if you've seen the movie American Skin or something like that, Black people always lose in the end. We always lose. We're not losing on this one.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it. So definitely keep me posted on that. Yeah, that sounds real
you'll get
good.
you'll get early access, man, because we're gonna do a theater release here, but I'm gonna get you early access to see it,
I appreciate
before,
that.
because I need to get people eyes on it and say, hey, I like this or like that, because if it comes down to it, how do we get to this part? Or if it's the same questions come up, some movies don't get to go back and fix it, So I want to make sure that this film is clear and hear a critical standpoint of how did I shoot the film and how did we get from here to here and things like that. So I want you to check it out once we're done.
Definitely will.
Give me your input on it.
Definitely will.
Yeah.
Definitely will.
Yeah.
All right, man. So December 14th, we're gonna have you once again on the Heart to Heart Relationship Talk Show. Definitely looking forward to having you on. We do have a couple women that's gonna be on the show with some strong personalities, and I know you're gonna be over there repping for the repping for the men. There you go. So So I ain't gonna ask you a relationship question, but since you have been on the show, can you share with viewers what it's like to be on the Heart to Heart Relationship Talk Show?
You know what? It first off, it's fun. It's you don't get shows like this, especially podcasts, where people are actually sharing and kind of get the podium. You know what I'm saying? It kind of gives you a balance in a sense. You're not going at each other and screaming and going crazy and stuff. It's actually pretty cool, you know. And I can't remember the one guy's name. When I've watched it after our show, he's always on there. But he's not a guest. He did end up being a guest on the show one time, but he's always like posting like the super chats or something like that. What's his name?
Okay. I think it's Deliante, maybe. Was he an artist or are you talking?
No.
Oh, okay.
He a regular guy, OG.
Oh, you talking about who's the be with Black Legacy?
Oh, Cleveland.
Cleveland always has the input from the audience. Yeah.
Cleveland, yeah, Cleveland, yeah. I remember Cleveland, bro. But you brought him on one time, didn't you?
Yeah. He's been on the show.
Yeah. So it's a cool vibe, man. You know, a lot of knowledge dropping, a lot of opinions. You know, I'm ready for it, man. I'm definitely, you know, ready to bring the heat because I know I gotta, you know, hey, it is what it is.
Right. We're definitely looking forward to it. So December 14th, Heart to Heart Relationship Talk Show on Zoom. It's a virtual show. You can find all the information on Eventbrite. This is a free show, but we're only doing 100 tickets. So the first 100 people to get a ticket will actually have access to get in the show, submit questions, talk to celebrities, and, you know, give your input, get on TV. So go out there, Eventbrite, check us out at Instagram and Facebook at Heart to Heart RTS, HEART, 2 HEART, RTS. Bobby, could you let viewers again know where they can find you?
Bobby J Online on Instagram, and I'm on eHarmony. I got kicked off of there for asking for titty pictures, but no. Bobby J Coleman, Bobby J Online. You know, I'm everywhere.
All right. So with that being said, we gotta give our sponsors a shout out. Shout out to our sponsors, Starboard Mind Records, Pharcyde TV, Detroit Rap, Podcastic, Nomad Flavors, Chicago Black Business, and Cola Lounge. Speaking of Cola Lounge, you can expect to have us to do our first show, the live Heart to Heart Relationship Talk Show at Cola Lounge in January. So stay posted for that. Till then, Bobby, we look forward to seeing you Wednesday, December 14th. You know, have a great week, and we'll see you there.
Let's do it. Man. See y'all then.
All right, take it easy. Yep.
Yes, sir.